first thing I asked myself was the question, they put a question mark there, why are having more women judges benefits all of society? And for us to be here at The Hague, which is also known as the judicial capital of the world, that tells you that in 2023, something that you would have thought is a non-issue, that women have gone past all that, we can still be asking this kind of question. So I was talking to, I don't know if Prof is here, Professor Fatsa, we were discussing that, my topic as to what to do. I retire on the 3rd of September this year, when I reach 70. And by that time, it meant I would have worked for the federal government of Nigeria for 45 years. So which experience was I supposed to talk about today? So I've been in that dilemma. So talking with Prof back and forth about the topic I had to talk to, there was a point at which he turned and looked at me with this glint in his eyes. And he said, you know what the most important factor is that there is a glass ceiling where women are concerned. A glass ceiling is an invisible barrier. You can't see it. And yet, nothing can make you cross it because either society, culture, religious reasons, whatever it is, that glass ceiling has been put there. But most important, not just the fact that there's a cultural barrier or religious barrier or for whatever barrier, Prof pointed out also there's the sociological. There's the sociological where the woman herself does not think that she can be a judge. Some women ask me, how can you sentence anybody to death? I can't do that. Oh, Nigeria, we must add, oh, I can't do that. Oh, how can I do that? How can you do that? So that by themselves. So in talking about this sociological bent, that's when like an eyeball, how they say bulb went up in my head that, oh yes, I can tell stories about that. First of all, as a child, then as a wife. When I was about 14, a captain in the Nigerian army in front of my parents asked, the normal question you ask kids. So what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I am going to be a lawyer. I didn't say I want. And the first thing that comes out of his mouth was, oh, so you want me to stand up for you one day? What has that got to do with I want to be oh, so you want me to stand up for you one day? As God would have it, he lived long enough to see me become a High Court judge, and he lived long enough to stand up for me as a High Court judge then. May his soul rest in peace. Now, another aspect that shows now I'm a wife. I was a lecturer at the Nigerian Law School in Lagos, and my husband moved me to his state in Sokoto at that time, for his own reasons, in 1988. My late husband, he died in 2001. So I moved to Sokoto as a chief magistrate in 1988. Now, by 1991, there was state's creation. So that state was split into two. And I had to now move to his own state in 1991. In 1992, the state that the first state, Sokoto that is, now needed judges because most of the judges had moved to this new state. So they needed judges. The chief judge of that state turns up in the house, asks me for my husband, and I took him there. Apparently what he came to ask him for was permission to send up my name as a judge of Sokoto State. He asked him permission. My husband it's his decision, didn't tell me, didn't ask me. When he was then a senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So when his home state heard that Sokoto was trying to get me as a judge, they said, how can you be a senator and your wife is going to work in when the state creates the enmity that comes when you have one state created into two. How can you be? No, tell her to wait. We will appoint her. We're in the process, so we will wait. So there I was. Nobody asked me. He didn't discuss it with me because it was not my decision to make. So my fate is being decided as to which state should I work for as a judge, that one or this one. So I can't even ask. So this is how I waited. Now, Sokoto did a very smart thing. While these ones were dilly-dallying, because it's his home state, so they were not in a hurry, this state now issues me a letter of appointment. May 19th, and 1992. And the letter says, I'll be sworn in on the 26th of May, 1992. Up till Friday, before that Monday, nobody had asked me. My husband had not discussed it with me. I didn't know whether I was going to take on the appointment or whether I was going to wait here. So Friday, and I actually waited because they would ask you, how do you do that? But a wife is a wife. And there are certain dynamics in a marriage that you have to. I just couldn't ask. So what is my fate? What have you decided? So Friday, we were driving back from Birnin-Kebbi to Sokoto. We stopped in his village, which is in between. And they stopped the car. He goes into a cyber cafe. I'm seated in the car. Half an hour or so, comes back and offers me a letter. And he gives me a letter. And what did I read? To the Chief Judge of Kebbi State that it was an honor and privilege to have served the state as a Chief Magistrate, but I'm accepting the offer of Sokoto. So there I was on a Friday. That's when I knew I was now going to be a High Court judge on Monday. So I was sworn in on Monday, and when my sister asked that why was I not excited, he said that what was there to be excited about? I made sure she knew that what is there being a judge. So no, there was no time to celebrate to everything. Bottom line, I have about a minute to go, is that if that could happen to me in a family setting, husband and wife, can you imagine that replicated in society, in the community, in everywhere? Things have changed a lot, but things are still the same in a lot of places. Basically, my last thing to say would be that a lot of women, when we think of the sociological barrier, a lot of women have locked themselves in a mental prison and that they can't imagine getting out of. Because it's all, like Prof put it, he says auto-exclusion. Nobody stopped you from being a judge. Nobody stopped you from aspiring. Nobody has stopped you. But you have stopped yourself. Because inside your head, you just don't believe that it could happen or that you could be a judge at all. And so you just step back. Anyway, my time is up. Thank you so much. And that is how, like I would say, I got to the Supreme Court at the end of the day. Thank you.